Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us here on KTN Newsdesk. My name is Bessie Callow. We have the latest. And the Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee this morning met representatives from different ministries ahead of the 27th August deadline for the passage of several bills. Well, KTN's Aaron Ching is at our City Center studio and now joins us with the details. Aaron, let's talk about that August 27th deadline. What are they saying? Is this going to be feasible?
Well, there are several bills that have a deadline of less than 3 weeks from now, the August 27th. That is exactly 5 years after the inauguration or the passing of the current constitution. So those bills have very few time before they are supposed to be implemented. And that's why the Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee of the National Assembly was meeting with different stakeholders to deliberate on these particular bills to see what is the stage that they are in at the moment before they are brought to Parliament to be debated. 9 of the bills, according to the Solicitor General, who was actually representing the Attorney General, are ready, and they were presented to the Majority Leader on Friday, and therefore those bills will be able to be taken to different relevant committees of the National Assembly this coming week. But there are several others which are, according to the Solicitor General, are not yet ready. And the way we are seeing is that probably we're going to see an extension of the deadline of the August 27th in regard to certain bills. But what came out of today's morning meeting was that the gender bill, the one that is supposed to implement the 2/3 principle, came out to be the strongest bill that members of the Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee were interested in, the famously known as the Chepkonga bill, that members are saying that it is being taken for a ride, and they really want to know what is the stage that it is in and whether it will be able to be completed before the 27th of August deadline. So briefly, this is what happened in that committee as things turned out to be a discussion on the 2/3 gender principle in total disregard of the rest of the bills. There, take a look.
The bill that you referred to, that Chepkonga brought to the House, which is amending the Political Parties Act, it amends the Election Act, it amends the IEBC Act. That particular bill, as far as we are concerned, covers both the 2/3 gender principle and the marginalized representation of marginalized groups, as far as the executive is concerned. And this is based on the fact that the Supreme Court held, we're not aware of the Supreme Court ruling, about the progressive realization of the 2/3. And that is what we sought to incorporate. And subsequent to that Supreme Court ruling, the High Court had compelled the Attorney General to file a bill within 40 days. And this bill that is before the House substantially contains those two.
It's a compact bill. The way it's written here and the way we are talking here, I think is not the same. Because 2/3 is not here. Let us speak the truth and be clear. We want actually to know the truth. Because we don't want to be taken right and say everything view is there, and when we are reaching there, the view is not there. As women, we want to know the truth.
I'm not persuaded that we need to come back here, because actually the issue is fairly straightforward. This bill we received, this is the bill dated 30th April, which I believe is signed by Honorable Chepkonga. Now, CIC received this from the National Assembly. CIC reviewed it, including proposing a change of the name, the title to the bill, because it addresses, we were reviewing it for purposes of addressing Article 100, not for purposes of the 2/3 gender rule.
Looking at the details, it is different from the Chepkonga bill. It is quite, even looking at the substance. So, and you know, this is a rather sensitive matter.
Right. That, of course, was the meeting that took place today. Of course, talking about the county, I beg your pardon, of course, the bills that are supposed to be discussed, of course, and debated by the deadline, which is 27th of August. And we still have our Aaron Ochieng. And Aaron, I just have one thing to ask you. And, of course, it's in regard to the two-third gender rule. Do you think there's actual political will to make this happen?
Well, according to the members of the Constitution Implementation Committee, they are saying there is a little bit of dilly-dallying in terms of making this bill come out clearly, so that members and even people of the public may be able to know what exactly is entailed in that gender bill. But what came out today clearly is that members are not satisfied with the progress of the executive in regard to the progress of this bill, especially the Chepkonga bill, the amendments that Chepkonga brought to the House. But out of the 9 bills, apart from this gender bill that has elicited a lot of reaction, we're also expecting when the executive would have finished with certain other bills like the community land bill and the energy bill. We are also going to see a lot of interest, especially at the community land bill, where we are going to see what exactly is the proposal of the executive in terms of ensuring that community land is taken care of. You can bet for sure that there is a lot of interest when it comes to community land. And also energy bill, as you are aware, Betty, the country is currently exploiting different minerals in the country, especially in Turkana and some other parts of the country. And the communities that live around there, they would want to see how they will be compensated and how they are going to benefit from the resources that are in their locality. So I'm expecting a little bit of a reaction in these 2 bills, the community land bill and the energy bill, as well as the gender bill, as we have already seen today. Betty.
Right, Aaron Ochieng there from our City Center studio. Thank you very much for those details. Moving on to another developing story, and this time round is across our borders, now to the U.S., where President Barack Obama is hosting a group of young African leaders. Well, the U.S. president has described as crazy any attempt by an African to discriminate against a fellow African. Obama says Africans have too much injustice over the years and must not be subjected to further humiliation by their fellow Africans. Well, he maintains that Africa is the next big destination for investment.
Fresh from his 2-nation African tour, Obama welcomed the latest fellows of the Young African Leaders Initiative to Washington, D.C. But first, a song. As the U.S. leader marks his 54th birthday, Obama recalled his historic visit to Africa, saying it meant much to him.
It was my 4th trip to sub-Saharan Africa, more than any other U.S. president, and I was proud to be the first U.S. president to visit Kenya, the first to visit Ethiopia, the first to address the African Union, which was a great honor.
The U.S. leader maintains his optimism about Africa, saying the continent is indeed the next frontier for global development.
Even as Africa continues to confront many challenges, Africa is on the move. It's one of the fastest growing regions in the world. Africa's middle class is projected to grow to more than 1 billion consumers, with hundreds of millions of mobile phones and surging access to the internet. Africans are beginning to leapfrog old technologies into new prosperity.
Asked by a Kenyan lady about the ritual killings of persons with albinism in Africa, the U.S. president minced no words.
The notion that any African would discriminate against somebody because of the color of their skin, after what black people around the world have gone through, is crazy. It is infuriating.
Obama says Africa is rich with tradition, but many of the practices that degrade people must now be discarded.
We can preserve great traditions, music, food, dance, language, art, but if there's a tradition anywhere in Africa or here in the United States or anywhere in the world that involves treating people differently because you're scared of them, or because you're ignorant about them, or because you want to feel superior to them, it's a bad tradition.
The Mandela Washington Fellowship began in 2014 and aims at empowering young Africans through training and networking in order to effect change in their communities back on the continent. Jogeyo, KTN News.
Now, as county governments struggle to meet their financial obligations, the Commission on Revenue Allocations has launched regulations that will guide them in increasing their revenues. Well, county governments have been collecting less revenue than what defunct local authorities used to collect, mainly due to corruption. And I'm now joined by Michelle Ngele, who's at the Windsor Hotel, where governors were actually meeting the Committee on Revenue Allocation. Michelle, thank you very much for joining us. Maybe you can bring us up to speed with what transpired this morning.
Well, thank you, Betty. As you mentioned, we're at the Windsor Hotel, where a seminar was held by the Commission on Revenue Allocation, as well as together with the Kenya Institute of Manufacturers, and they launched a document today that is to help county governments in increasing their revenue allocation. This is after county governments were accused of underperforming with regard to revenue collection. And I am joined now by Makueni Governor Kivuza Kibwana just to give us more intel on the matter.
I attended this meeting in my capacity as the chairman of the legal committee, and we are very excited that the Commission of Revenue Allocation as well as CAM have helped all the counties now to develop model laws on revenue collection. And this was after extensive research in all the 47 counties, and we were taken through the measures, both policy and the legal measures, and we have committed together with our assemblies that we are going to look at these model laws, and we will then domesticate them. That is, we shall endeavor to pass them so that our finance bills, have realistic provisions, and there is no double taxation. We don't make business difficult to do within the counties.
Governor, maybe you're speaking to Betty Keller. Maybe just a comment. Of course, we've had that the CRE saying that the county governments do not have are not churning out enough revenue in terms of money that is coming from the counties due to corruption. Do you agree with this?
Well, I don't think it is due to corruption. Mm-hmm. I think we have continued to use the people where local authorities, revenue collection people, and so we have a serious problem of capacity, and this is something that actually our departments of revenue collection are quite feeble, and this is also something that we are trying to correct. But generally, it is true that most of the counties have not collected a lot of money as yet, but this is the beginning, and some of them have actually doubled their revenue, and we appreciate this is a beginning. And when we have legislation, when we have proper, people with capacity, when again also people commit to paying, because some people say that they would prefer to pay national taxes and not pay county taxes, and of course the counties don't have much to tax, because in this country, according to the constitution, still the revenue system is one system, but with two levels of the national government collecting most of the taxes and remitting some to the counties, and then counties doing cess, doing property, a bit of property taxes, entertainment taxes. So it is not as if the constitution allows us to collect a lot of taxes.
Right. Thank you very much, Governor Kivuda Kibwana, talking to us from Windsor Hotel, where the Commission on Revenue Allocation today launched regulations that will guide counties in collecting revenue, because, of course, we've seen that they have been collecting revenue that is not in accordance with what local authorities, defunct local authorities, used to collect in previous years. And welcome back. Newly launched Equitel has garnered on net traffic of 2.3 million minutes between January and March 2015, making the mobile virtual network operator the most successful globally, at least according to parent company Equitel. And the users are exhibiting very interesting characteristics as they take up the service with gusto. Adelaide Changole spoke to Equity Bank's CEO, Dr. James Mwangi, about this way of banking.
Yeah, but you said it was between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. that
in the morning
several of those transactions were happening. Didn't you find that a bit interesting? Why are people, transacting that late or that early? What are the key drivers in your estimation?
We're trying to unravel and to understand this. But as our engineer said, we thought maybe parents, after they have settled their children to sleep, that's when they discuss financial matters and say, maybe tomorrow we'll need some money. Why don't we apply so that the money is in the account when we wake up? Or it is early in the morning and you wake up at 5, just before you prepare your kids to go to school or to go out, you say, I needed additional money. Let me get the money. So we're very excited. We were very, very excited on 20th of July when 30,000 Kenyans applied for loans on a single day. It was really amazing. So the uptake is very impressive. Just within those 6 months, we have 666,000 Kenyans having obtained loans, and the month of July, 2.4 billion shillings. So that is the success. So this Equitel is more successful than even we imagined ourselves. But it's the freedom and the convenience is delivering to Kenya. It's the reliability and the trust that your transactions and your data is safe because it's encrypted.
Right.
And that's how we wind up this edition of KTN Newsdesk. But coming up on the second part of the bulletin, we will be speaking to some of the family members of some Kenyans that have gone missing in South Sudan. And of course, they are seeking audience with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to ask for assistance in tracing their kin. Well, one of the family members, Wanjeri Nderu, is at our City Center studios, and we will be talking to her in just a short while. Remember, you can catch that discussion on KTN News, DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 90, or Zuku channel 14 for that discussion on the plight of the 5 Kenyans who are in South Sudan. That coming up shortly on KTN News, but for now, goodbye from me, Betty Kialo.